I suppose this is a classic case of whataboutism, potentially. You have to potentially brainwash children here. You have Greta and Shamima. I know Shamima's not from Birmingham, but it sounds better in a Birmingham accent. And what I've been hearing a lot of lately is decries from people saying, oh, well, how can Greta Thunberg be brainwashed, and yet Shamima Begum knew exactly what she was doing, and they're roughly the same age when they've done the things that they've done. Shamima was 15 when she ran off to join ISIS, to be part of the Islamic State or whatever. And Greta, came on the radar when she was 15. She's now 16. So they're similar ages. And they're saying, it can't be, well, one can't be brainwashed and the other one knows exactly what she's doing. It's like, well, and then it's like, oh, it's conservatives. No, it's white men and conservatives. This is what they say, which is a very interesting way of framing anything. White men and conservatives, as in, if you're not a white man and you have these sort of opinions, therefore you must be a conservative. As in, it's the only thing that defines you. If you're black, you're gay, you're a woman, whatever, you're Muslim, well, you're a conservative, and therefore your opinion doesn't count. It's a very bizarre way of approaching anything. But hell, this is clown world, baby, and this is how these are the rules. These are the rules. There is a big difference between Shamima and Greta. Noticeable differences. First one I'll say is one my friend mentioned yesterday. No, the day before yesterday. Oh, was it matter? He mentioned it anyway. That, and he was like, well, even at 12 years old, or 11, I would have known that joining an organisation such as ISIS, with the amount of information presented to us, that, the decapitations and the drownings and the general nihilistic murdering, is not a cool thing to do. And, you, at the age of 11, you can be culpably, you're culpable for your actions. You can get charged with murder at 11 in this country. So therefore, running off and joining ISIS at 15, you can definitely get banged up at 15 for pretty much all crimes. Face a court of your peers. So it all goes against the whole thing of, oh, she didn't know what she was doing. But would she have been brainwashed? It's like, yeah. There would have been some brainwashing too. Of course. But you also are kind of responsible. People of all ages can be brainwashed. That's quite obvious from what we can see all around us. We're seeing very old people who are clearly brainwashed these days. And it's always been like that. Look at the Nazi Party. They got a hell of a lot of people on board to some fucking whack shit. It's not difficult. Whereas with Greta, now we don't know about Shamima's mind state. She hasn't been properly assessed. So we don't know what problems she might have. But we are very well aware. We're very well aware of Greta Thunberg's issues, and there's more than I thought. Apparently, there's things to do with OCD and depression. There's just a roll call of, oh dear. Right, come on. Don't think you should be out there in the public eye as much. Who looks the most deranged in these photos? I know but this is a photo from the fucking Lad Bible, which is, believe it or not, Lad Bible's quite left-leaning. I know it doesn't make sense, does it? But it is. It's just the first place I found a photo of them two together. I just fucking downloaded it, didn't I? That's what I did. That's what I do. Who looks the craziest right now? Go on. Oh, there you go. The difference is that one's probably more vulnerable. It's weirder that Greta Thunberg would be have a more vulnerable mind state than Shamima Begum, even though Shamima was drawn into something that would be considered way more hideous than the climate change movement. Despite the fact that environmentalists are well, they're extremely ideological. They're very much opposed to Western ideals and to capitalism, and they do want to tear everything down. They're very similar to ISIS in that regard, actually. It's just their methods are a bit different, and they've got more money. It is a fact. But both, look, ISIS and climate change activists use the same tactics, which is absolute fear through propaganda. One's just more about it than the other one. ISIS like to kill people, and climate change activists, as far as we know, don't kill anyone. As far as we know, of course. But their tactics of fear are equal, because on the one hand it's like, you will surrender to the caliphate or die, and the other one is, if you don't surrender to our demands, you're gonna die. You will die. So they're both like, you're gonna die unless you do what we say you do. So I don't see much difference there. And you can say, oh, this girl knows what she's doing, and you can say, oh, this girl doesn't know what she's doing. This girl knows what she's doing as much as any 15 or 16-year-old girl knows what they're doing. It's kind of subjective, and you can change your mind. Difference is like, with child stars, people thrust in the spotlight. One's in the spotlight. One's in the spotlight because she wants to be, because her parents want her to be. It's been orchestrated for her to be in the spotlight. Shamima came into the spotlight out of circumstance. She didn't join ISIS, as far as we're aware, to be able to go on Celebrity Big Brother. She just did it. She just did it. Her and because there was two other girls. I think one of them's now deceased, I think, and the other girl we don't really hear about. She's just the most high profile one. They always pick and choose someone to go, and Shamima's like, comes across a bit dim, or probably depressed, actually. That's kind of insulting to call her a bit dim. Probably depressed because she has lost 3 children in 4 years. And it's not like she went to the Islamic Caliphate and was like, oh, it was a splendid time. Everything was exactly how I thought it was. I lost 3 children. She's not saying that. The fact is, she was thrust into the spotlight not because that wasn't the plan for her to be thrust in the spotlight. She was just one of many thousands of girls who made the journey to Syria and Iraq to become ISIS brides. And she just happens she's become a focal point of political talkings. That's the difference. So her parents, Shamima's parents, do not want her to be the ISIS poster child. They never wanted that for her. You've seen interviews with them. That was not their ambitions for their child. They did not say, I wish Shamima would be the poster child for the recruitment of jihadi brides. I don't think they ever thought, I don't think that was the aspirations. I'm sure there are some people out there who have those kind of mental aspirations, because there are nutters all around us. I'm a nutter, but I'm not a massive nutter. So I know that there's real nutters out there, but that's not what they wanted. It wasn't in her yearbook. I was like, who's the most likely to join an Islamic terrorist organization and get banged on a regular basis by some murderous nutter. I don't think that was on her list of things to do. I don't think that was her aspirations. Whereas Greta Thunberg, her aspirations are being realised very publicly, because that is exactly what was wanted. Clearly, you don't need to be some sort of investigative sleuth genius to figure that one out, and that this is what her parents want, and she's doing exactly what they want. So it's all about the responsibility of the parents, really, isn't it? Shamima ran away. Greta is encouraged and bankrolled. It's a very big difference. So you talk about two different types of exploitation and grooming. And do they know what they're doing? Well, exactly. Well, they do, only to the degree of how much you know about yourself when you are a 15 or 16-year-old girl. You know, in the UK, the legal age of consent is 16. In America, it's 18. I think across the board, except some places it's 17, I think. So in America, they don't think that you know your own mind enough to get banged before you're 18. So there's nuances to this. It's different. So to go about to have a go at people who have criticised, and not everyone's criticising Greta Thunberg because they think she's brainwashed. A lot of people just think she needs to shut the fuck up. This is a big difference. You know, because who's the most annoying person out of these two? Well, it's clearly the little Swedish girl, isn't it? Shamima, it's like, who cares? Who cares? I think she's been through a hell of a lot. I think if you look at the bigger picture, she has definitely suffered as a consequence of her actions. Just from the losing the 3 children thing. I mean, like, think how devastating it is to lose even one child. Wrap your head around, like, losing all 3? I mean, she can't have very high expectations or very high self-worth after going through that because of the consequences of her actions. And as she grows and matures into an older woman, because she is, you know, she's 3 years older than Greta Thunberg, you know, things may change for her. Maybe one day Shamima may grow up to be someone who campaigns to stop it happening to other people. Because there's so many stories like that where people, you know, former gang members, former terrorists, you know, look at, what's his name? Why have I forgotten his name? Oh my god. You know, Majid, what's his name? He was whatever. He was a former terrorist, and now he's like, you know, heads up Quilliam to stop extremism. There's plenty of people who can like go through growth and become, you know, something positive, you know. And maybe Greta will grow up to be like to be a climate change denier and be like, yeah, I was absolutely crazy when I was a kid. Good God, don't go down my path. But like I said, it's all about who's exploiting who is doing what. You cannot compare a girl who runs away from home to join a murderous, nihilistic organisation with a girl who's propped up by donors and who has 2 parents who accompany her everywhere she goes and who is encouraged to speak by world governments and the UN. You can't really compare it. So you can't go out there and say, oh, the same people that criticise Greta Thunberg are the same people that criticise Shamima Begum. You can't. We live in this simplistic time where people are just simplistic. There's no depth to anything. Even when it comes to climate change, it's like you cannot be critical of it because you have to accept it. Otherwise, apparently, you're some sort of nutter. Or like you're the same as a Holocaust denier or a flat earther. It's like, no. Like, science is open to criticism and skepticism. That's the whole point. You should be skeptical of everything. But to get shut down, you know, you can be as equally critical of the climate change movement and the fear-mongering that they push as you can be as critical of ISIS. And you can embrace the idea of ISIS as much as you can embrace climate change. Do you know why? Because how do you know you're fucking right anyway? Well, you think you've got it. You think you've got it all sorted out. You've got it all worked out, have you? That you don't. You think maybe there might be a possibility that the Islamic State might have some good ideas. Maybe they're the good guys and you're the fucking bad guy. How do you even know? So how do you even know that the climate change protesters are the good and virtuous? And if you're against them, you're the bad guy. How do you know? Can you tell me how you know? Not based on an echo chamber, not based on everything that's been fed to you. But how about a bit of critical thought that's open to new ideas and open to listening to all points of view. How about that? Give that a try. Let's see where you stand on that. But don't be in the simplistic mindset of good and evil, right versus wrong, as if there's no room for growth, as if we don't make mistakes, as if we don't fuck up, as if we don't have evil thoughts. That's very wrong. And who taught you you were so fucking virtuous and wonderful that you could make those distinctions? Who said you could be judge, jury, and executioner? Who fucking made you mayor of wonderful? Who made you mayor of Virtue Town? Who fucking told you how fucking great you were? Was it your mama and papa? Who did that? Or did you just convince yourself that you were so fucking wonderful, that you could cast judgment on everything, and that you knew everything about everything, just because you heard snippets and buzzwords? How ridiculous. What a ridiculous position to take. And what a simplistic and ridiculous assertion to make, that, you know, if you criticise Shamima Begum for joining ISIS, why then, because she knows her own mind, well, how can you say that Greta Thunberg's being brainwashed? What, because two of them was the same age when it happened? That's the basis of your argument, is it? Like, what? Well, I was 11 and I stole some shit from a shop. Terry Venables. Is it Terry Venables? No, that's the... What a way to begin a very serious metaphor, analogy, similarly, whatever I'm trying to do. So I'm 11, I'm stolen something from a shop. John Venables murders James Bolger with his friend. Okay. Right. Well, what's the similarities between us? We're 11 and we're men. We're males and we're 11. That's the similarities. That's where it begins and fucking ends. These are two completely different people in two completely different situations, manipulated by two completely different groups. And also, one's got a completely different mental capacity to the other one. Like I said, we don't know much about Shamima's mental state, or about if she has any syndromes or disorders. We don't know her IQ. We don't know anything. Apart from the fact she was the ISIS poster bride. And we know a hell of a lot about Greta Thunberg when it comes to that kind of thing. Alright, so to be going around making these comparisons and chastising people for criticizing them and saying, "Oh, look at you, you dumb prick," you know. Does Greta know her own mind? Like I said, as much as she could, but we don't know. Did Shamima know what she was doing? As much as she... Well, I don't know. Like I said, there's a big difference to going to speak at the UN than there is to joining a death cult. But then there's so many other factors. You could discuss this for hours. And you will not come to a satisfactory conclusion. Not really, because you don't know. You don't know. So, shh. It's probably the best thing to do. Just pipe down a bit. You know. But the fact is, I'm not going to listen to either of them lecture me on right and wrong and what I should be doing, and telling and fear-mongering me into giving in. No, not from the climate change. Not from the climate change activism community, and not from the Islamic extremist community. None of them are taking away my shit and telling me what to fucking do based on their ideology. I'll tell you that for starters. That's a better position to have.